Hey everybody, and thanks for watching this episode of The Other 99. Today we take a look at an Arcanis the Omnipotent deck submitted by Lucas Ostrowski. Arcanis the Omnipotent is a drawing powerhouse. At 6 mana, he can be cast turn 4 or 5 with the help of mana rocks. Also, his ability to bounce himself means you don't have to keep paying 2 extra mana every time you want to cast him. This deck plays 13 legendary creatures besides Arcanis, which is pretty awesome. Other than that, it sticks to the blue strategy of draw cards until you win the game. Even though this deck is certainly similar to a lot of other blue decks, it takes several pretty unique angles and uses some underplayed cards. Arcanis can draw a lot of cards, but he's only one creature. A huge portion of this deck is devoted to card filter and draw, so that you can always have cards in hand to answer any threat. Aeon Chronicler can be a very good way to draw extra cards, or if you don't need more cards, he can just be cast as a big beater. Blue Sun Zenith and Mindspring. They are great for mid to late game when they can draw you tons of cards. Brainstorm, Ponder, Crystal Ball, and Sensei Divining Top. They're cheap ways to dig through your library. Consecrated Sphinx. It's an easy way to draw about 6 cards between turns, and that's if you're not trying to abuse it. Foresee, Jace's Ingenuity, Tidings, and Think Twice. They provide some cheap early game draw power. Jace's Archivist and Memory Jar. They dig through your deck while messing with your opponent's hands. Memory Jar has the added bonus of being awesome with Academy Ruins. Temple Bell. It's another card that forces your opponents to draw cards that they just might not want. Tomoya the Revealer. It goes nuts in this deck. Its ability is great if you target yourself, but if you have enough cards in hand, you can potentially deck an opponent. Jin-Gitaxias Core Augur. Gives you a card refuel at your end step while decimating opponents' hands. Tomorrow, Azami's Familiar. Gives you the power to super scry anytime you draw. That Brainstorm just got way more powerful. Jin-Gitaxias? He might as well be a tutor. Time Reversal. Can give you the extra boost you need when you're trying to win the game by giving you a fresh hand full of combo goodies. Drawing cards is great and all, but it does you no good if you have to discard them or if you mill yourself. Graceful Adept. It may be a fragile body, but it gives you an unlimited hand size. Reliquary Tower and Spellbook. They also keep you from having to discard, but they have the advantage of being 0 converted mana cost, which means that they can be fetched with Talaria West. Venser's Journal. Adds a crazy amount of life gain to the already helpful advantage of not having a maximum hand size. Elixir of Immortality and Feldon's Cane. They can recycle your graveyard and prevent self-mill. Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. He may be a crazy good beater, but in this deck, he has the humble task of being a way to shuffle your graveyard into your library, especially at instant speed. Relic of Progenitus. It helps take care of all those cards you've been dumping into graveyards. People play spells. You don't want them to resolve. Tooth and Nail? Not on my watch. Counterspell. Dissipate. Cryptic Command. Daze. Deprive. Urtai Wizard Adept. Hinder. Runeboggle. Spell Crumple. Kaho Minamo Historian. It's great for ensuring that you have some counters on hand when you need them instead of relying on drawing them. So we've established that this deck can draw tons of cards, counter stuff, and later we'll see that it can win with combo. There's only one thing missing. Extra turns to do all that stuff even more. Lighthouse Chronologist, Temporal Mastery, Capture of Jingxiao, Time Stretch, and Time Warp all help with that. There's a reason a lot of commander decks play blue along with another color like black or white. Blue simply cannot take care of creatures well. If you can't counter it when it's cast, you're out of luck, unless you find a more creative way of dealing with the threat. Sleep. It buys time against aggro decks or clears the way for a finishing swing with a big beater. Frost Titan. Keeps the biggest threat on the board out of commission. Lorthos the Tidemaker. It keeps the creatures that would kill you tapped down, or can tap down 8 lands to ruin someone's turn. When your general is as powerful as Sir Ancestral Recall, he needs to be protected and abused as much as humanly possible. Minamo, School at Water's Edge, and 1000-Year Elixir. Lets you untap Arcanis to reuse him, and Elixir gives him pseudo-haste. Kira, Great Glass Spinner. Forces your opponents to waste 2 spells to try and take care of any creature, and they'll probably be gunning for your general most of the time. Rain, Academy Chancellor. Makes your opponents think twice about targeting your stuff, since they'll be feeding your hand. This deck doesn't have the normal blue obsession with copying and stealing everything in sight, but sometimes drawing combo pieces won't win you the game, and you need to borrow something from an opponent to help finish the game. Or maybe you just need to throw off their game plan long enough to set up yours. Bribery. Lets you take a big beater from those handy green opponents. Thada Adel Acquisitor. removes your opponent's powerful artifacts from the equation, while giving you mana rocks, swords, and other goodies. Diluvian Primordial. Getting to play your opponent's spells for free is always nice. Teferi Mage of Zhalfir. Prevents your opponents from countering your spells or otherwise interfering with your game plan. Areo Soratami Ascendant. Forces your opponents to waste a spell in order to resolve anything, which is difficult to continue without enough cards in hand. So now that you've drawn cards, countered stuff, drawn more cards, crushed everyone's dreams, and then taken extra turns so you can draw even more cards, you might just need to win the game. Enter the Infinite. Just imagine. Cast Omniscience, cast Enter the Infinite, then win the game. Mind over Matter. It's quadruple blue. Probably because it's broken and R&D wanted to sleep at night. Knowledge Pool. Can wreak havoc on the game or end it altogether with Teferi. Tamiyo the Moon Sage. Her tap ability is nice, her draw ability can be nuts especially against token decks, and her ultimate is just disgusting, especially with Omniscience out. Soramaru First to Dream. It's a huge flying beater that can draw cards in a pinch. Laboratory Maniac. Makes decking yourself a good game-winning thing. Omniscience. This is a sandwich card, which is one of those cards that does everything but make you a sandwich. Psychosis Crawler. It gets huge and deals 1 damage to each opponent when you draw, which is sort of this deck's specialty. Archmage Ascension. Once you get the counters on it, this card will guarantee the perfect combo finish. And now for the mana rocks and lands. Gilded Lotus. It fixes mana for all the blue intensive spells. High Tide. Helps ramp up to those big spells. Mana Vault and Soul Ring. They provide an early game boost as well as being cheap spells to help flip Areo. Darksteel Citadel, Academy Ruins, Sphalanite Temple, Ancient Tomb, Halimar Depths, Tectonic Edge, Mystifying Maze, Oboro Palace in the Clouds, Strip Mine, Talaria West, Mikokoro Center of the Sea, and 21 Islands. This deck has some sweet combos. Mind Over Matter is possibly the most powerful card in this deck. When combined with Arcanis, it can dig through your entire deck. Kozilek Butcher of Truth allows you to shuffle your graveyard back into your library, meaning that you won't deck yourself with infinite activations of Arcanis. If you add Gilded Lotus into the mix, you can use 2 of those cards from Arcanis to make 6 mana at a time. Then you use the last card to untap Arcanis and do it all over again. This means that when you get to the card you're digging for, you'll have the mana to cast it. Mind Over Matter also combines with Temple Bell to mill all your opponents out at the same time, with Kozilek ensuring your survival. Then of course there are the Teferi Knowledge Pool Softlock and the Omniscience Enter the Infinite Big Finish. And now for the strengths and weaknesses of the deck. For its strengths. Arcanis is very resilient and evades general attacks. It's almost impossible to overextend or run out of steam. You get more turns than your opponents. Cards, cards, and more cards. Weaknesses. Other blue decks can sometimes out-control you. Playing mono blue puts a big target on your back. Blue's lack of removal means fast creature decks will run you over. Main win cons are combos that can be disrupted. You should play this deck if you like blue, you like extra turns, you like drawing a lot of cards, and you enjoy combos. Thanks for watching this episode of The Other 99. I hope Lucas Ostrowski's deck has given you new ideas about blue decks and inspiration for different cards to play in those decks. Next week we will be having a special double feature week between The Other 99 and Commanding on a Budget, so there won't be any voting this go around. I'm Carson from Top Go Productions, and as always, thanks for watching.